How a demonic figure terrorised a southwestern UK county for 5 years. This is All Things Creepy, let's begin. For some context, Somerset is a county in the southwest of England. It's known to be quite rural and it has quite a rich history as well. So with that come a lot of sightings, cryptids, things of that nature. The folklore goes deep. But around 5 years ago, all new sightings started to crop up in northern Somerset of a strange figure dressed completely in black with a almost demonic appearance. This figure would terrorise the locals, being sighted multiple times, either wandering around or writhing in appeared pain on the ground. Initially, these sightings were met with skepticism. Maybe this was a hoax, maybe it was a trend, or maybe it was just people all getting together and making things up, right? Jumping on the bandwagon, for lack of a better word. However, as you'll see later in the video, evidence started to mount. So stories surrounding the Somerset Gimp started in 2018. Initially, it was just rumour. A lot of people were joking about it, and I'm certain the majority of people thought it was some sort of inside joke or a hoax perhaps. However, the nature of one early sighting was particularly creepy in my opinion. A man was driving along a country road next to some fields. He needed to take a break, go to the toilet as you do, so he parked up and went about his business. The area was quiet, it was the middle of nowhere next to a field, and suddenly he started to hear a strange grunting and groaning noise. He had no idea what it was, but the headlamps of his car luckily provided some illumination, and he saw a figure dressed almost entirely in black writhing on the floor in supposed pain. The figure was seemingly speaking in gibberish, nothing that this witness could identify or understand. Naturally, he immediately fled the scene terrified. He did later call the police and report this though, which definitely suggests it's not a hoax because fees and penalties for that sort of thing are quite high. But the police weren't able to find anything, so the police did treat it seriously and they did try and look for someone out there. And within a short space of time there were numerous other sightings, some in rural locations, others in more densely populated town areas, always at night, and always citing a strange babbling or gibberish that the individual was speaking. This led people to speculate that this was perhaps something spiritual, supernatural, or maybe even demonic, with some suggesting that this could potentially be the ghost of George E. Lukins, a notable historical figure from the area who was associated with a lot of demonic activity and demon worship. From here the sightings only escalated further. There were more and more sightings of people just out on walks, always late at night, seeing this individual roaming around or writhing on the floor, always making these nonsensical noises. And from here it seemed like the individual was trying to interact with people more. There would be sightings of him looking through windows, looking through car windows, generally almost approaching people, of course, not before they could very quickly run away and then call the police. And from here we have some more vivid descriptions of the individual. So it was a full black latex suit that was more clear to be seen at this point, and notably it had red crosses across the eyes. Interestingly, there were some moments where an individual saw the Somerset Gimp and chased after him, but the Gimp always managed to run away and escape. These sightings continued all the way until 2019, until finally someone managed to take a photograph. A woman was alone at night when she felt or heard someone nearby to her. She turned around and saw that same figure, fully dressed in latex with the crosses over the eyes. He was staring right at her. She managed to get out her phone and take this picture here. Eerily, he just simply stood still while she took this picture and made no movements as she ran away. From this point, police started to take things very seriously. They now had physical evidence of the person doing this. When one of these photographs was taken, it was naturally posted all over the news in the media cycle. And interestingly, the sightings seemed to drop off for a little bit between these photographs and these media booms, suggesting that the individual was maybe aware of what was going on and was laying low for a while. But inevitably the cycle would repeat itself. More sightings would take place, there would be more photographs. This time increasing sightings of the individual looking through people's windows, a peeping Tom, if you will. There was even video footage taken on one interaction between the Gimp and two chefs. This evidence was sent to the police. It showed the Gimp wearing his classic latex outfit, but seemingly covered head to toe in mud. This led to an individual being arrested and questioned. However, after being released on bail, these conditions were ultimately lifted due to insufficient evidence. Eventually and ultimately, the suspect was captured. This was following a sighting in which a woman was approached by the Gimp. He then wandered off into the bushes and she proceeded to quickly call police. Fortunately, there was a patrol car only minutes away and they quickly made their way to the scene. Here they found a suspicious white van, and inside, upon searching it, they found many of the suits and latex that matched the description of the Gimp. The suspect driving the vehicle was Joshua Hunt, a 32-year-old gardener. In his vehicle was also neon paint, suggesting that he was customizing the outfits. When questioned, he appealed to a decline in mental health recently. He stated that the reason he was wearing latex suits and driving around late at night was so that he could get dressed up and then roll around in mud, something he called mudding. Supposedly due to having a lot of self-hatred, this would provide him with some relief. Due to the wider public perception of the incident, the suspect was held in custody whilst all the legal proceedings took place. He claimed that it wasn't his intention to scare or hurt anyone. However, clearly what he was doing caused a lot of terror and anxiety throughout the local towns. However, despite his behaviour being unsettling and strange, it only classified as public order offences for which he was found guilty. The judge did, however, place quite severe restrictions on him in the form of an order. So basically this order just puts it officially onto paper that if he breaches any of these restrictions, he will have to go to prison. And obviously he's now heavily associated with the image of the Somerset Gimp, so if this sort of thing starts cropping up again, it's very likely he'll be the first one questioned. The restrictions are quite extensive, but some of them are extremely weird and specific, and I'm sure you'll understand why, but I did find them quite amusing. So among many other things, he is now officially banned for 5 years from crawling or wriggling or writhing on the ground, and from wearing a Gimp suit in public. So although that doesn't seem like a harsh punishment, and I'm sure it would be very easy for you and I to stick to that restriction, for this individual, that's his whole thing, that's what gets him going, that's what he enjoys to do. So it will be very interesting to see if he actually sticks to it, and maybe even more interesting if more Somerset Gimp sightings happen. Could you imagine, for instance, how creepy it would be as if he ended up getting locked back in prison and then more of these sightings started cropping up? So that wraps up the story of the Somerset Gimp. To me, this is quite an interesting story because initially this started off as something that people were thinking was supernatural, then people thought it was a hoax or a trend, then the pictures started coming out and it turns out it was just a really depraved and strange individual. But let me know what you think in the comments below. Hit that bell notification if you're not a Gimp. Like the video if you did, share it with a friend, and of course if you haven't already, subscribe for more Gimpy content.